Hey again, besties, and welcome back to the channel. You know that feeling when you discover some mods that have been sitting in your folder for ages, and suddenly you realize it's absolutely incredible? That's exactly what today's video is all about. I've been quietly enjoying these 9 amazing mods in my game for a while now, and I realize that it's high time I share them with you guys. What makes this lineup so special is that many of these are actually quite underrated. They don't always get the spotlight, but they absolutely deserve it. We'll be exploring awesome new artisan goods that will transform your processing game to creative crafting systems that add whole new layers of production, plus a brilliant add-on that enhances one of my favorite expansions. This list seriously has something for everyone. If you're as excited as I am to shine a light on these hidden gems, please do me a huge favor and be sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet, so you don't miss these weekly mod showcases. It truly helps more farmers discover these underrated treasures. Your support means the world to me and keeps these videos coming. Now, let's jump in and explore some mods that are simply too good to keep to myself any longer. Have you ever rediscovered a mod that's been hiding in your folder for ages, and suddenly it clicks in your head one day why you downloaded it in the first place? That's exactly the story with today's first mod. I have almost every bee-related mod under the sun on my main save. If it buzzes or produces honey, I probably have it. But Bees Plus by Omena007 has been sitting quietly in my folder for the longest time, and I'll be honest, I only recently started tapping into its full potential. And let me tell you, I've been missing out. The core idea behind this mod is brilliantly simple. Honey and bees were just too underutilized in vanilla Stardew. I mean, there isn't even a single cooking recipe that uses honey in the base game. This mod fixes that in the sweetest way possible by adding beeswax as a rare additional drop from your bee houses. You'll be collecting your honey and occasionally find this lovely new resource waiting for you. But the beeswax is just the beginning. It opens up a whole new way to make artisan goods and recipes. Once you ship your first beeswax, you'll unlock a quest from Emily that leads to crafting the wax station, a brand new artisan machine added with this mod. This little beauty lets you transform that wax into wonderful products. You can make basic or scented soap by adding oil and flowers, craft cozy candles which pair beautifully with yarn from the alpaca mod by the same author, and even create honey balm, a handy new healing item that uses the honey you harvest. And finally, the cooking aspect. The mod adds 3 delicious honey-based recipes: honey poached peaches, unlocked through a robin quest, honey cake, available at farming level 3, and honeyed hasselback carrots, purchasable at the saloon. It's a complete honey overhaul that I'm so glad I finally took the time to really explore. Okay, real talk guys. Do y'all remember several videos back when I announced my grand ambitious plan to raise at least 10 children on my farm? I installed the Have More Kids mod, added a nursery full of cribs, and armed myself with dreams of a farmhouse absolutely overflowing with little ones. But then reality hit. Where exactly was I gonna put them all? My poor farmhouse was already fully upgraded, and adding a whole soccer team's worth of kids was going to turn it into a clown car situation. Enter the bigger Farmhouse Map by *555, the mod that single-handedly saved my sanity and my family planning. This thing is an absolute monster of renovation. We're talking a full-blown expansion that takes your humble farmhouse and transforms it into something that feels suspiciously like a countryside mansion. Suddenly, I have hallways leading to rooms that didn't even exist before, extra rooms that could each house a couple of kids, an extra indoor area for growing plants, and enough floor space to host a small hoedown. It's honestly way more space than I ever thought I needed. I went from worrying about bed space to wondering if I should buy an extra fridge just for the east wing. My farmer is living the high life, and the kids are gonna have plenty of room to run around without running into furniture too much. If you're planning a dynasty or just want your farmhouse to feel a bit more luxurious, this mod is the answer. Ever wish that some of the other vanilla crops had their own giant versions in the game? That's where 6480's Giant Crops comes in, and honestly, it's become one of my absolute favorite visual mods to date. You know that magical, thrilling moment when your 3x3 patch of melons, cauliflower, or pumpkins merges into one colossal super plant in the vanilla game? Well, this mod takes that joy and amplifies it to almost everything else you grow. Now I can have my parsnips, potatoes, garlic, and even starfruit randomly decide to become absolute units overnight. But the real fun, the thing I secretly check for when I'm growing coffee plants, the mod can be configured to make the giant version of the coffee plant appear as a hilariously oversized coffee mug sitting in your field. I am genuinely, unironically praying to Yoba that I wake up one day to a giant coffee mug on my farm. Or a giant potato. Can you imagine? It's just such a fun and hilarious touch that makes every harvest exciting. What makes this mod so perfect is that the artwork is absolutely top-notch. 6480 designed the sprites to look like they legitimately belong in the vanilla game. They don't stick out as modded. They blend in seamlessly, making your farm feel like it was always meant to have giant, glorious crops scattered across it. Whether it's single harvest crops or the multi-harvest ones like blueberries and cranberries that can also go giant, the effect is gorgeous. It turns your farm from a simple plot of land into a whimsical, oversized wonderland, and I cannot recommend it enough for the sheer joy it adds to the daily grind. So everyone that's watched a few videos on this channel before likely knows exactly how I feel about Lance from Stardew Valley Expanded. The mysterious swordsman with the fabulous hair and the whole adventure vibe, I am so invested. So you can imagine my absolute utter joy and rejoicing when I stumbled upon the Homewrecker Lance mod by Freaky Biscuit 1 on Nexusmods last year. I literally squealed. This mod takes our favorite adventurer and gives him a complete, stunning visual makeover that somehow makes him look even more like he absolutely belongs in the world of Stardew Valley, while also being oh so gorgeous. The portrait and sprite redesigns in this mod is just chef's kiss. The artist has captured a beautiful, slightly softer yet still ruggedly handsome look for him that fits the game's aesthetic perfectly while elevating it. But my absolutely favorite part has to be the seasonal outfit makeovers. Seeing Lance dressed for the different seasons, looking stylish and appropriate whether it's the heat of summer or the chill of winter, adds such a wonderful layer of immersion and personality. He's no longer wearing the same thing year-round. If you love Lance as much as I do yourself a favor and download this mod right now. You absolutely won't regret it. You know, one of the biggest letdowns at Stardew Valley happens after the wedding bells start ringing. You spend all that time courting your favorite villager, unlocking hard events, and finally walking down the aisle. And then they just sort of stand there and stare at stuff around the farmhouse all day. It's quite sad. They just seem to slowly lose all their personality that made you fall for them in the first place. It's a complaint I hear all the time, and honestly, it's one of the few things about this game that feels genuinely unfinished. That's where today's mod comes in to save and reignite that fire again. I'm absolutely thrilled to talk about Date Night Redux by Agent Lyoko, a fantastic continuation of the original Date Night mod by Live on Supper that's been lovingly updated for the 1.6 update. This mod does exactly what the name promises. It gives you a chance to go on actual dates with your spouse after marriage, bringing back that spark and giving you something fun to look forward to. With a configurable daily chance, your spouse might just ask you out on a random generic date, like a cozy night at the saloon, a romantic picnic in the forest, a beach day in the summer, or even a camping trip that ends the day on a perfect note. And for those married to Alex, Haley, Emily, or Maru, there are even special spouse-specific dates to enjoy, like watching Gridball with Alex, or a photography adventure in the desert with Haley. This even works with all of your favorite modded NPCs too, and they'll take part in all of the generic dates that this mod has to offer. It's the perfect way to keep that marriage feeling alive and dynamic, season after season. If you're anything like me and you love mods that add new layers of production to your farm, new recipes, new artisan goods, New ways to use your harvest? Then you are going to absolutely adore today's next mod. Jerky Time by Cryomancer199X is a relatively new addition to my main save, and I have been having an absolute blast experimenting with it. This mod is, in my humble opinion, seriously underrated for how much it actually brings to the table. The concept is beautifully simple. Finally put all that extra meat from animal husbandry to delicious use. With Jerky Time, you can take raw meat and transform it into a variety of preserved, long-lasting, and highly profitable jerky snacks. But it's not just one flavor that fits all. The mod introduces multiple jerky varieties, each with its own unique recipes and, crucially, its own unique buffs. You might create a spicy jerky that gives you a combat edge, or a hearty blend that boosts your foraging or farming stats. This turns your kitchen into a true artisanal workshop and makes raising animals for your meat feel much more strategic and rewarding. It's compatible with other mods that add meat like Mizu's turkey and quail mods. I gotta admit that I always tend to have a ton of meat lying around in my farm due to the meat plants I grow. I never slaughter my animals. So this mod is perfect for making use of the excess beef, chicken, and turkey in my fridge. The mod also thoughtfully integrates with the game's progression, often requiring you to reach certain farming or foraging levels, or complete specific quests to unlock the full range of recipes. Plus, the community feedback shows the author is dedicated to keeping it updated and even has added translations for international players. So, if you've been looking for a way to diversify your animal products and add a tasty new layer of gameplay, Jerky Time is a fantastic under-the-radar mod that deserves a spot in your mod folder. Let's be honest, there's a bittersweet moment in every Stardew Valley playthrough when you finally complete the community center. All that hard work, all those bundles, and the payoff is a building that mostly just sits there empty. Sure, you get the occasional event and a few new NPC schedules, but that beautiful heart of the valley often ends up feeling very empty. That's where this utterly charming Community Wednesdays mod by Noon Saliwa comes in to breathe new life into those hollowed halls. This isn't a massive world-changing expansion or anything like that, but honestly, it doesn't need to be. It's simply a cute, delightful addition that gives you a reason to visit the community center every single Wednesday. The mod adds a rotating cast of villagers who gather there, hosting a brand new little event each week. Sometimes it's a potluck, other times it's a book club, or maybe just a casual hangout. It makes the building feel like the vibrant community hub it was always meant to be, full of life and friendship. I personally love to pair this mod with Community Center Reimagined because together, they add so much more stuff to my late game. Community Center Reimagined gives the building a gorgeous visual makeover, and Community Wednesdays fills it with activity. It's the perfect combination for getting the absolute most out of your post-completion community center. Every Wednesday becomes a fun surprise, a chance to see what the townsfolk are up to, and to feel like the valley truly came together thanks to your hard work. It's a small mod with a huge heart. Now, let's talk about a mod that has absolutely no right being this good, considering it's technically just an add-on for another expansion. I'm talking about Sword and Sorcery, a fantasy expansion for eScarp by Desti Nova. I know, it's an add-on for eScarp, but honestly, I genuinely forget that sometimes. It feels so complete, so massive, and so self-contained that it might as well be a standalone expansion mod on its own. This thing is an absolute masterpiece. Sword and Sorcery is a high fantasy adventure inspired by Dungeons & Dragons, Baldur's Gate, and Final Fantasy, and it brings that epic RPG energy straight into your Stardew Valley game. It introduces a whole cast of new characters, starting with the Coastal Adventurers Guild. You'll find out in the tent on the beach in eScarp. You've got Mateo, the roguish guild leader with a heart of gold, Hector, a grumpy werewolf reclusive living in the mountains, and many, many more charismatic faces. They're all fully romanceable, with over 15 heart events each, unique spouse rooms, and even special powers they share with you. The real genius of this mod is that each major NPC introduces a brand new skill for the farmer to master. We're talking a full-on RPG class system. You can become an artificer, crafting brand new armor, bows and arrows, and mastering the forge. A druid, learning to shapeshift into a stag or wolf, and growing ancient, long-lost crops. A bard using musical spells for buffs and utility. A sorcerer collecting elemental essences for powerful rituals. Or a paladin, equipping a shield in a new offhand slot and flinging it at your enemies. And to test those skills, a brand new 30-floor dungeon called the Deep Dark, complete with a terrifying final boss, custom ores, and challenging monsters. I still have yet to unlock this on my current playthrough, but trust me, I'm totally working on it. There are over 100 events, thousands of lines of dialogue, new items, crops, recipes, fish, and so much more. It's a staggering amount of content that weaves seamlessly into eScarp, and the fact that it all started as an add-on is a testament to the incredible work of its creator. It's practically its own game, and I can't recommend it enough. And the creator is even working on a massive Final Mix 3.0 update with remastered art and a more accessible storyline. So if you haven't tried this awesome mod out yet, now is the perfect time to dive in. Let's wrap this up with a mod that I saved for last, but it's certainly not least. I have a bit of a confession to make about Fishing Pond Facilities by Tikamin557, the same brilliant creator behind the Dam mod, which I've covered previously. I actually had this mod installed way earlier in my Stardew journey, but I ended up removing it because at first glance, it felt a little bit too overpowered for my taste. I thought it might just make fishing too easy or bypass the challenge I enjoyed. But here's the thing about having a modded save with literally hundreds of additions like I do, many of which that add a bunch of new fish species to the valley. I quickly realized I had a problem. I needed a reliable, designated spot to actually reel in the specific fish I needed for recipes, bundles, and that ever-elusive chance at reaching perfection. Suddenly, Fishing Pond Facilities didn't look overpowered to me. So what exactly is this place? It's a brand new location, accessible through a special building east of Pelican Town. But you can't just waltz in. The mod requires you to prove yourself a true master of the angler. You'll only have access to the ground floor portion of the facility until you reach level 4 friendship with Lily, after which you'll have access to the underground facility. You'll need a friendship level of 9 or higher with Willy and the wizard, plus a maxed out fishing skill of level 10 for the wizard's warp room. The facility itself is multi-level and wonderfully designed. The ground floor has fishing spots that still respect the fish's specific time and weather requirements, making it a great place for targeted practice. But the real magic is downstairs in the underground room. Here, all those restrictions are completely ignored. You can fish for any non-legendary fish from any mod you have installed at any time of day, in any weather. For someone trying to catch every single fish from a massive list of supported mods, including Stardew Valley Expanded, Ridgeside Village, eScarp, Downtown Zuzu, and so many more, this is an absolute lifesaver. There's even a second floor that serves as a customizable resting area, perfect for taking a break between catches. And for the legendary fish, there's a special warp spot from the underground that lets you fish for them during the last week of the month, with a slightly easier minigame, and you can even configure it to let you catch them multiple times. It's the ultimate angler's retreat, perfectly balancing the challenge of discovery with the practicality of completion. And that's a wrap on our tour of 9 Stardew Valley mods that are just too good to keep to myself. I hope you found a new hidden gem or two to add to your collection. Which mods are you most excited to try out in your game? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. I read every single one of your comments, and I love talking mods with you guys. If you enjoyed this deep dive into some underrated favorites of mine, please do me a huge favor and smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. It really helps my videos reach more mod-loving farmers like you. Thank you so much for watching and for all of your incredible support. Until next time, stay cozy and keep those mods updated, my friends. And as always, happy farming!